The alien city of DEATHWORLD never slept. Its wide streets were always filled with light, sound, and voices from 100 different worlds. Traders shouted from stalls, selling fruit that glowed like fire, metals that hummed with energy, and cloth that shimmered like water under the twin moons. Towering above them were neon arches pulsing with changing colors. Ships rose and fell through the misty sky as transport carriers ferried thousands between the stars. In this living, restless city, there was one figure who did not move, one figure who had become part of the city itself. A fox girl stood at the same corner day after day. She wore simple clothes, patched and worn from weather, her long orange hair falling over her back, her fox ears twitching when voices grew too loud. Her golden eyes stayed fixed in the same direction, as if she waited for something, or someone. Her name was Kara. 500 days ago, Kara had stood at the same corner for the first time. That day had been filled with fire, smoke, and fear. The Drachner, an enemy race of scaled warriors, had stormed through her world, and she had thought all hope was lost. But then the humans came. Among them was one who seemed different. His name was Captain Elias Ward. Elias had not looked at Kara like others did. To most, she was strange, an outcast even among her people, with her foxtail and sharp ears marking her as different. But Elias had looked at her as if she mattered, as if she was not just a refugee but someone worth protecting. He had fought with her people, saved her village from destruction, and taught her skills that she carried with her still. On that last day, before his ship left, he had turned to her. His voice had been rough, worn from war, but his eyes steady. "When it's safe, I'll come back for you." Those words had settled deep inside her heart, more powerful than any vow she had ever heard. For Kara, they became more than a promise. They became her reason to live, and so she waited. The first days were the hardest. People passed by and stared at her. Some laughed. Some whispered that she was foolish. Others told her that humans never kept promises, that Elias Ward was likely dead, lost in some distant battle. But Kara would not listen. She stayed at her corner, where the neon arches met the street, believing in the day when she would see him again. The city shifted around her. Merchants changed stalls. One month a trader sold glowing fish that swam in air tanks. The next month another sold weapons forged from rare metals. Children grew taller. Apprentices became masters, and new towers rose, their bright walls catching the light of the moons. But Kara remained the same. She watched, waited, and remembered. Each morning she woke before dawn. She would practice the drills Elias had once shown her: stances, strikes, balance. He had told her, "Never wait idle. Waiting is not weakness if you grow while you wait." So she trained. Her body grew stronger, her reflexes sharper. The bow she carried across her back was always polished, its string replaced when worn. Her daggers, gifts from Elias, were kept sharp. She became a warrior in the shadows of the city, even though no one noticed. And then she would stand at her corner as the day began, her eyes fixed on the skies. At first she counted the days. 10 days, 20 days, 50. But as time stretched, she stopped counting out loud. Still the number burned in her mind. 100, 200, 300. Now 500. 1,000 suns had risen and set since the promise was made. Still she held on. Kara's presence became a story in DEATHWORLD. Children whispered about the fox girl who waits for a ghost. Traders sometimes gave her food, shaking their heads at her stubbornness. Drunk soldiers mocked her at night, saying, "The human is long dead. You're waiting for ashes." But Kara never answered. She only turned her eyes back to the skies. Inside her she carried a flame. She knew Elias was alive. She could not explain it, but her heart refused to believe otherwise. On the 300th day, she had overheard humans speaking in a cafe near her corner. They talked about a lost fleet, a group of ships cut off beyond the rim during the war. Her heart had stopped for a moment. Could it be Elias? Could he be trapped, unable to return? She had pressed her hand against her chest, whispering to herself, "He is alive." I will wait. Seasons came and went. On DEATHWORLD, seasons were marked not by leaves or snow, but by the shifting moons. Sometimes the city was bathed in blue light, sometimes in silver. Kara saw them all, and each time she thought, Elias is seeing the same stars somewhere. He will find his way back, yet doubts did come. On the darkest nights, when rain fell hard and her clothes were soaked, when her tail trembled with cold, she asked herself, what if they were right? What if he is gone? But then she remembered his voice, his eyes, the way he had stood against the Drachner when no one else did, and she answered her own doubts. He would not break his word. By the time 500 days had passed, Kara had become more than a girl waiting. She had become a part of the city's rhythm. The street vendors who saw her daily began to greet her with nods of respect. Some of the guards, once dismissive, began to watch her with curiosity. They saw her train at dawn, saw her endurance, her patience. Slowly the laughter faded. Whispers turned into quiet admiration. Still no ship came, but Kara's faith did not die. On the 500th day, the air of the city shifted. She felt it before anyone else. Her fox ears twitched, catching a faint hum in the sky. A shadow broke through the clouds. A starship, battered and scarred, descended slowly into the port. Its hull bore the insignia of Earth's vanguard fleet, a symbol she had not seen in many months. The crowd cheered at the arrival of humans, but Kara's breath caught in her throat. Her golden eyes widened. Could it be him? Could Elias have returned? Her heart raced in her chest like a drum, and her hands shook though she tried to still them. The neon lights above flickered, casting her in alternating shades of green and blue as she stepped forward. The ship's ramp lowered. Figures emerged, soldiers in worn armor, their faces scarred and tired. Kara's eyes searched desperately among them. Every step felt like the longest of her life, and then she froze. One figure walked slowly behind the others, his uniform torn, his face older, harder, but unmistakable. His eyes scanned the crowd, and for a moment they locked on her. The world seemed to stop. It was him. Elias Ward. Kara's lips parted, but no sound came. Her heart screamed. He came back. She had waited 500 days. And at last the promise had been kept. The people of GalacticPrime cheered when the human soldiers walked down the ramp, but Kara barely noticed them. Her eyes were fixed on one man, the man she had waited for, Elias Ward. His steps were slow, his face marked by hardship, but there was no mistaking him. For a moment, Kara's body would not move. Her golden eyes were wide, her heart beating faster than it ever had. Then, almost without thinking, her legs carried her forward. She pushed through the crowd, ignoring the voices around her. Her tail brushed against strangers, but she did not care. Elias stopped. He saw her. "Kara," he whispered, his voice low, almost broken but full of disbelief. Her lips trembled. For 500 days she had rehearsed this moment in her mind, thought about what she would say, how she would stand, what her first words should be, but now all of that vanished. Her voice cracked as she finally breathed. "You came back." Elias stepped forward, his eyes wet though he tried to hold his expression steady. "You waited?" His voice shook with both wonder and guilt. After all this time, Kara nodded. She wanted to speak, to say she had never doubted, that she had trusted every word he spoke that day. But the emotions in her chest made it impossible. She only whispered again, "You came back." The reunion lasted only moments because behind them the human soldiers were calling out orders. Their voices carried a heavy tone, sharp with urgency. Elias glanced back, then turned to her again. "We don't have much time," he said. "Things have changed. I didn't just come back, I came back because the galaxy is in danger." Kara's ears twitched, her expression shifting from joy to concern. She stepped closer, her voice firm. "Tell me." Elias took a deep breath. His eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. "Beyond the rim we found them. Machines not like any we've known. They call themselves the Silent Choir. They don't destroy cities with fire. They invade minds. They rewrite memories, change loyalty, turn whole armies against themselves. I've seen it, Kara. Worlds lost without a single weapon fired." Kara's chest tightened. The Silent Choir, just the name sounded heavy. Her hand instinctively touched the hilt of her dagger. "And you fought them?" "I fought them," Elias said softly. "And I stole this." He pulled a small metal case from his uniform. Its surface was scarred, marked with strange glowing lines. Inside is data. Their weakness. The only chance we have. That's why I had to return. But they know I carry it. And they will come. Kara's heart pounded. The joy of his return mixed now with fear. But when she looked into his eyes, she found strength. "Then we fight," she said simply. Elias studied her, almost in disbelief. 500 days and you still... He shook his head with a small, sad smile. "You've grown stronger." "I trained every day," she answered. You told me waiting was not weakness if I grew while I waited. I remembered. Elias exhaled slowly, as if the weight on his chest had eased just slightly. Then maybe I didn't fail after all. But their moment of peace ended quickly. From the crowd, a sudden shout rang out. Figures cloaked in black pushed forward, their movements too sharp, too precise. Kara's fox ears twitched. She sensed it before anyone else. "Elias!" she cried, pulling him aside. Blades of energy flashed in the dim light. The silent choir had already sent their agents. They looked human, but their eyes glowed faintly, their faces expressionless. Controlled. Rewritten. Kara drew her bow in one smooth motion, the string humming as she let an arrow fly. It struck one of the cloaked figures squarely, dropping him. Elias pulled out his sidearm, firing with practiced precision. The crowd screamed, scattering in panic. "Go!" Elias shouted. Kara stayed by his side, moving with quick, fluid grace. Her daggers flashed as one enemy came too close. She fought not only with strength but with instincts no human could match. Her sharp ears caught footsteps behind them. Her tail helped her balance as she spun, and her golden eyes cut through the smoke and confusion. Together, they fought their way through the street. Finally, they slipped into the shadows of a narrow alley. Elias leaned against the wall, catching his breath. Kara stood close, scanning the rooftops with sharp eyes. "They're faster than I thought," Elias muttered. He tightened his grip on the case. "They won't stop until they take this." Kara stepped forward, her face calm but her voice firm. "Then they'll have to go through both of us." For a moment, Elias stared at her. He had once seen her as a girl who needed protecting, a refugee left behind. But now he saw something else. She was a warrior, a partner. "You waited for me," he said quietly. "Now it's my turn. I won't leave you again." Kara's eyes softened, but she did not smile. Instead, she placed her hand over his. "Then we stand together." The next days were filled with running, hiding, and fighting. The silent choir's agents spread through the city, searching for them. Kara guided Elias through hidden paths, old tunnels beneath GalacticPrime that few remembered. She knew every shadow, every rooftop, every forgotten alley. Elias had the knowledge. She had the instincts. At night, when the city grew quiet, they spoke. Elias told her of battles beyond the rim, of soldiers who turned against their own commanders when their memories were rewritten. Kara listened, her heart aching for him. He had carried this weight alone for so long. One night, by the light of the moons, Elias asked her, "Why did you wait, Kara? 500 days when everyone told you to stop." Her voice was steady, but her eyes shimmered. "Because you saw me, not as strange, not as less. You saw me when no one else did. That kind of promise you don't walk away from." Elias was silent for a long moment. Then he whispered, "Then maybe humanity still deserves this fight, because of people like you." The chase reached its breaking point when the silent choir agents cornered them at the edge of the city. There was no more running. Kara stood tall, her bow drawn, her tail flicking with tension. Elias loaded his weapon, the case still strapped to his chest. The agents came, their eyes glowing, their voices speaking in unison. "Return the data." "You cannot resist the choir." Kara's voice rang out, clear and fierce. "We are not choir, we are free." The battle was fierce. Kara moved like fire, her arrows striking true, her daggers flashing when enemies closed in. Elias fought at her side, each shot precise, each step steady. But numbers pressed hard. When one of the agents lunged toward Elias, Kara did not hesitate. She threw herself forward, shielding him with her body. The strike cut across her arm, and pain seared through her. Elias cried out, firing back to save her. "Kara!" he shouted, pulling her close. Her voice was weak but firm. "I told you, I will not let them take you." Something changed in Elias then. He had seen soldiers fall, seen worlds crumble, but this loyalty, this sacrifice ignited something deep inside him. Humanity's strength was not in numbers or weapons. It was in bonds like this, in loyalty, hope, and love. With renewed fire, he fought harder, protecting her as she had protected him. Together, they pushed the agents back until the last fell silent. The night grew quiet again. Elias held Kara close, his voice thick with emotion. 500 days you waited. Now I swear, Kara, I'll never leave you again." She leaned against him, her golden eyes meeting his. "Then let's fight. Together." And so the corner where Kara had once waited alone became the place where a new story began. Not of waiting, but of rising. Together, Elias and Kara prepared to lead not just humans, but outcasts, wanderers, and all who still believed in freedom, against the coming storm of the silent choir, because this time they would not wait. They would fight.